Man, life comes at you fast, or as they say sarcastically on Twitter, that aged well. That was a highlight video that the Celtics put out yesterday morning. And last night, Marcus Smart became a former Boston Celtic by way of a 3-team trade involving the Grizzlies. He is now a member of the Grizzlies. Kristaps Porzingis comes to Boston from the Wizards. And Michael, I'll tell you what, man, like, my feed item for this, because it's funny, like I was thinking back, man, I ain't checked for Kristaps Porzingis in a while, quite honestly, because he was with the Wizards most recently. Sorry. So I can't say I followed Kristaps Porzingis closely, like I did when he was the unicorn. And Phil Jackson, controversial at the time, took him 4th overall. And I used to put all for Kristaps Porzingis. I loved him as a prospect. I was surprised to see
what kind of season he had. Honestly, I was surprised to see what kind of season he had. Okay. Because I wasn't paying attention.
Okay. So I'm not alone. All right, I'm not alone. Okay.
I'm like,
but
he's
really,
like, a word?
But if you dive even deeper into the analytics, he is really effing good, okay? Like, he's really good. Yeah. And, I mean, he improves the Celtics in areas that they needed help, like in terms of getting a stretch big, another stretch big, rim protection. I mean, he brings a lot to the table. Obviously, I think he made 38.5% of his threes last year. And now now they get him to be a 3rd offensive option, right? Like, that was as the Wizards' number 1 option. Think about all the wide open shots he'll get in Boston. So on paper, this looks incredible, getting a 23-point per game scorer who's 28 years old, expiring contract. I mean, more flexibility to get the picks. This is a Brad Stevens, another Brad Stevens genius trade. However, and this is why I love this story. And this is why I wanted to start here with you. Not just because, you know all things Celtics, it's your backyard. But this is that quintessential numbers and analytics and intangibles conversation. Are they really better? Having given up the heart and soul of their team, a guy that they made the playoffs with all 9 years, and this was an amazing stat that I read today that blew my mind. Not only did they make the playoffs all 9 of his seasons, in all 9 seasons, they were never outscored per possession with Marcus Smart on the court. Like, this is Marcus Smart, you know what I mean?
Marcus.
So it's like, on paper, I think they're better, more talented, but they're losing the heartbeat of a team, which does need some tweaking. I just don't know that people like me thought that the tweaking was going to involve their emotional leader.
Yeah, well, I like the way you said it the last time. Okay, you said 2 things. One I agree with, one I disagree with. One, you said he's the heart and soul of the team. I don't agree with that.
No? Well, wait, is that Horford?
And Himmelsbach.
Is that Horford or somebody else? Who is that? Who would you say he is if it's not him?
Look, I usually go with the most talented guy. You know what I mean? The heart and soul team. Like, heart and soul is a lot. Okay. I'll give you. You said emotional leader, no question. He's their emotional leader, and they're gonna need to find it. And that's really, there's nobody like that on the roster right now that we know of. Maybe that's
people
Derek
step
White,
up into that,
who's their starting point guard now. Or maybe it's Jason Tatum. That's never really been his role, but maybe he leans into his leadership more. Same thing with Jaylen Brown. But I'll tell you, Michael, as you know, I've covered the Celtics and observed the Celtics for a long time. And all those things you say about Marcus Smart are true. But this is also true. In all my time watching the Celtics, the 2 most polarizing guys I've covered are, number 1, Antoine Walker, and number 2, Marcus Smart. Okay, two polarizing guys.
Hey, real quick on Twan. Twan was just ahead of his time. He was like, in a few years, all y'all gonna be shooting threes.
It's like, look, and real quick on him. So I covered him, and he would be like, "Hey, man, what's up? one of his famous lines, because like he was a 6'9" guy. You know, y'all don't
Right.
remember. He was a 6'9" guy who people kept saying, "Go
beast
inside,
at Kentucky.
What you doing?
Yeah.
Go down there, go outside." And he'd take threes. So after taking a number of threes,
hundreds of them,
he took. He took
like
hundreds.
It was
threes.
bad, but
So
for those days, it was like wow.
So one reporter asked him famously, "Hey man, why you take so many threes?" He said, "Because I can't take fours." Okay, that's just what I do.
That's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt. Because I can't take fours. Ain't that the truth? You know? Oh, he used to let them fly.
So he was.
So him and Marcus Smart.
I used to say, look, if you're over 30, that old war slogan, never trust anybody over 30. If you're over 30, you didn't like Antoine Walker. Under 30, you probably rolled for him. Marcus Smart is a guy, if you look on paper, look at his shooting percentage, is not great. I think he's barely a 40% shooter for his career. And he's never made an all-star team. And you look at him and you say, okay, what's the big deal? You got to be there for Marcus Smart. And look, a lot of people felt like he overstated his importance or overinflated his importance. He forced himself into a big three that should have been a big two. But I know, I got on board because when I first saw Marcus Smart, I was like some of the haters or some of the critics.
Yeah.
Just because you disagree doesn't make you a hater. But I was like some of the critics looking at him saying, okay, he doesn't shoot it all that well. He's not really a point guard. He's not really a two. Doesn't really have a position. But this is a guy who would put himself on the floor in a minute. This is a guy who didn't necessarily need it. Now, he'd take a shot, but he didn't need to shoot to affect the game. And I saw him do some incredible things without even shooting the basketball. So, look, he'll be missed. I think you need a guy like that. You need that dude. Everybody needs that dude on a championship team, so the Celtics are going to have to find it either within one of the players on the roster or go out and get somebody who approximates Marcus Smart.
No, I'm with you. And it's like, it feels kind of counterintuitive. Like, it's a big move. So this is the Celtics' big move. I was one of those people, as you know, after they lost Game 7, I'm like, break up the Jays, get Jaylen Brown up out of here. If I recall correctly, you kept saying they just need to grow up. So the counterintuitive part to me is, so you need to grow up and you get rid of your longest tenured player, probably your most mature player, if you will. It felt like, so your answer for growing up is to get rid of Marcus Smart? Like, no. But I do like the Porzingis addition the more I think about it. Like, now, Boston seems to be the bigger story, at least, I guess, for us, given our connection to Boston. And they got the best player in the trade in terms of Kristaps Porzingis, in terms of his talent, his versatility, his age, so on and so forth. Memphis might have got the best fit, and I think Kristaps will fit well in Boston.
He's a great fit.
But Jaren Jackson and Marcus Smart on defense? Sign me up for that in Memphis. Like, I feel like if there was another place for Marcus Smart to go and be as beloved as he was in Boston, it's in the grindhouse in Memphis.
Yeah, man.
He's exactly what they need. They talking about Boston needing maturity. If anybody needs maturity, it's the freaking Memphis Grizzlies. And Marcus Smart is exactly what they need.
Hey, what was that? What was
that whole team will fight you. Hold on, that whole team gonna fight you. Think about it. On and off the court, that whole team will fight you. Steven Adams, Marcus Smart. This is Zach Randolph Grizzlies all over again.
It ain't that one person you call. It's a group you call. Hey man, I was running into some trouble. Hey, let's go. Everybody, let's go.
Whose car we taking from the town? Whose car we taking?
That's right. Yeah. Let's go. But what's that quote? I know you got the quote from Black Panther. The king, any man who hasn't prepared his son. What's the quote? Who hasn't prepared his son for leadership?
Prepared himself. Yeah.
Well, anyway, when you said it's time, we'll get the quote just right. But when he went to when he was going down to be Black Panther, and he
this was T'Chaka. King T'Chaka in the afterlife. Yeah,
King T'Chaka to T'Challa. Say, hey, if I haven't prepared you to lead, essentially, I haven't done my job.
Right.
And so yes, when I said the Celtics need to grow up, maybe Brad Stevens is King T'Chaka saying, all right, well, I'm going to take something away from you to bring out something great in you. And maybe Marcus Smart was blocking them in some ways, and they just got to find out, hey, you're the leaders. Jaylen Brown, I'm about to give you a supermax. Jason Tatum, you are a first-team All-NBA guy. It's time for you to add something else. Maybe your game has everything it needs, but now your leadership needs to step up a little bit. And so we'll see. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.